Okay. I guess it's good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming again. Our second installment of our Pirke Abot class. I want to thank Alexis for hosting us this morning, and to mention that this morning's class is Leilu Nishmat David Ben Yafa, Mr. DJ Cohen, and I've tried to pick a topic. It's hard to do one topic that really captures such a dynamic person, but I tried one that I think would be fitting for him and for his memory. And so we'll see how it goes. And I'm going to need the crowd to indulge me a little bit. So I have a little game that I want us to play first. Yes. All right. So Jenny, you're going to be my leader. I have a little activity for us to do. Just going to take us a couple of minutes. It's probably a little bit juvenile, but it connects a little bit. And so I'm hoping that everyone will indulge me. I think I have the right number of people. I counted 16, but a few more people walked in. So what I'm gonna do is the following. Okay, so there's nothing like a good card game, right? So I'm gonna pass around a bunch of cards. On the cards in blue is a day of the year, a special day on the Jewish calendar. In red is a description of the day. And you're gonna get either a red card or a blue card. You won't see what it is. And when I say go, we're gonna take about a minute to try and match up everybody. So you're gonna have to find, if you have a blue card, you have to find the red match. If you have a red card, you have to find the blue match. Once we take a minute to do that afterwards, you're gonna have a 30-second conversation with the person who's your match. And you're gonna greet them, you're gonna say hello, and you're gonna talk about one thing that you've either done or are looking forward to in this past week. Something you did in this week that excited you, or something that you're about to do that's upcoming in this week that excites you. And each person's going to take about a 15 to 20 second turn. You'll spend about 40 seconds, and then we'll all come back together and discuss it. Everybody knows what the activity is? Everybody knows what to do? Huh? Try to make it this week. If it's something next week, we won't hold it against you. Don't worry. No one's got a gun to your head. Okay? So it be like tennis, or it has to be? It could be anything. It could be anything. It's not in practice. I prefer it not be spiritual. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so Grandma Laura, you'll pass around, take one and pass. I just want to make sure that I have enough cards for everybody. People on the Zoom, you'll have to indulge us. You're not here, so you lose out. That's the benefit of being here. Sorry. Just want to make sure everyone gets there. Yes, it's recording. Yeah, it's recording. Mix them up a little bit. Mix them up a little bit because there's the blue and the red. I want to make sure everybody got dropping them right off the bat. Forget about it.
Look at it.
Don't look at it yet. Don't look at your card yet. Just keep it face down. I want to make sure everyone's got one.
Don't look at it. You're not supposed to look at it.
Don't look at it just yet. There's a few more people coming in. Okay. Yeah, let's pass a couple more. Let's see. All right. Take one. Hi. Take one and pass to see if we got enough. Okay, you need more? Well, now there's a couple more coming. Okay, so slide a few of them down. Take the slide if you have a card, slide one down, slide one down. Let's see if we got enough. No, Jen, you're in. Jen, there's no watching. You're not going from the sidelines. You're in. You're in. Don't look. It's your card. Take your card. Hold it. Now hold it. I'll repeat the instructions. You have one? Yeah, pass one. Do we have an odd number? Yeah. Pass one down. Pass one to Eileen. You got a card? Okay. Come, there's plenty of seats. Huh? You wanted to just observe? No observers. Two more. Okay, so pass yours.
Really?
Yeah, keep passing them because they got to mix them up. That's the problem. That's where this is thing. These are all. Okay. So I had this taking about 2 minutes in my mind, but it's obviously taking us a lot longer. It's okay. That was built in. Does everybody have a card? Cohen's, you have a card? Okay, very good. So just to repeat the instructions for a few people who came in a little bit late, you're going to have to find, if you have a red card or a blue card, there's a match. On the blue cards, they have a special date on the Jewish calendar. On the red cards, it's the characteristics of that day. You got to find your match, have a 30-second to 40-second conversation, introducing yourself if you don't know each other or just saying hello, and then also answer what is either something exciting that happened to you this week or that you're looking forward to this week. Yes, we can do this. I'm going to put my timer on so that we get it. 1 minute is on the clock. Huh? You have to find that person. Yeah, you got to find them. Go ahead.
this one. Blue goes with blue or blue goes with
Blue
red?
goes with red. The blue card should go with the red card.
Wait, who has red Rosh Chodesh? Red Rosh Chodesh.
Someone's describing this for us. They're finding their partners. He'll be his partner. Sukkot. No, the person has a card.
Someone has a card. Greece is our partner also.
Let them through. Let them through. See if you found your partner.
So we have to do.
Okay, you have 1 minute to share now. 1 minute to share. 1 minute to share. Gloria, you found your match? What does it say? Simchat Torah. Should be there. Ah, you're my match. We're together. All right, Gloria, you and I. Okay. Very good. We're together. All right. Well, they're gonna have to just. They're doing a little bit. Okay. Linda, you can be with Gloria if you want. There's some Torah. Yeah, you can hold on to it. Keep it as a souvenir. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. It's almost done. Few people found. If you're done, you can find the seat. If you're done, you're good.
We have to match this. Now, what are we excited about? This is what is this? Ready. You found your person? No, I have to do it.
Okay, time is up. Wrap up your conversation and have a seat. All right.
Very excited for her.
All right. It's all on video. You met somebody you didn't know. See, there you go.
That's a good one. Someone I didn't know?
Okay, thank you everybody so much for performing that activity with such gusto and enthusiasm. I really do appreciate it. I must say I agonized over it. I wasn't sure, should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Will they enjoy it? Will they not enjoy it? It looked like everybody had a decent time, and a few people even met some people that maybe they didn't get a chance to converse with before and get a chance to greet a few people. So why did I do this activity? I did this activity because how many people, show of hands, have someone in the ELC in Hillel, and anybody in the lower school also, elementary school? Good. So in Hillel, over the last couple of years, and I have some experience before this in my 3 years teaching in Pirke, we implemented a system called Responsive Classroom, which is a system in which they try to create class community amongst students who are in, to really feel like you're part of something, not just a student on your own with your own grades and your own academic work, but also that you feel part of a family, that your class is really your community. And in Responsive Classroom, one of the things that they do, perhaps the biggest thing that they do, is a concept called morning meeting. Anybody ever heard of this? Yes, before? Yes, they talk about it? Yeah. Yeah, so something called morning meeting in the upper grades, we call it, let's say, homeroom or something like that. And I did this for 3 years. I was a homeroom teacher in Pirke for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And every morning when we would come in, we would do an activity like the one that you just did, and all different types. By the way, the activity also included a little bit of academics because you had to know the clues between the holiday, and you could do that in a lot of different ways. Sometimes when we were reviewing for a test, I would put a question on one card and I put the answer on the other card, and question and answer have to find each other. And that's a way where you could do something fun and also review at the same time. But the real purpose of the morning meeting is to get everybody a chance to be able to greet each other, to say hello in the morning, to get a chance to speak to somebody, to get somebody who will greet them every single morning, to say hello to the class. Sometimes we would do it like we did in partners. Sometimes we'd say hello to an entire class. And it sounds probably, for lack of a better term, very Tawil, right? Most people would say, okay, why do we got to do this? Let's just get the show on the road. But what we found and what research finds is that when people are able to greet each other, when you have an opportunity to say hello to somebody, when somebody's listening to you and you're listening to them, it really does wonders to a person. It does wonders to their confidence. It gives them a sense of fulfillment, a sense of self-respect. It says to us that I acknowledge that you're here, and we acknowledge that you're here. You're not just a number that comes into the school. You're somebody who has a personality. You're somebody who has a name, who gets a chance to greet other people and speak to them. And so these types of greetings really give a person a feeling that I'm important. And that's so important to a student every day they walk into school to feel I'm important. I'm important to the teacher. I'm important to my classmates. If I wasn't here that day, it means that the class was missing a little bit of something. A student is missing a day or two, the class calls them and they feel like they're part of something that they give to, right? And that they're very important in. And so when you give a greeting to somebody, when you receive somebody with a nice face, with a bright smile, with a good word, it really does change around their day. And sometimes people say, I think that's just exaggeration. It really can't be overstated. It's something that is so simple. It's something that's so self-evident to us, but we have a struggle actually doing it, right? We don't do it naturally. And it really is so important. It's so important that the rabbis made a point of mentioning it in Pirke Abot. If it wasn't important, it wouldn't be something that the rabbis didn't talk about. And so one of the famed scholars, his name was Shammai. We know Shammai very well. Shammai and Hillel, Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. Shammai said a number of things, and his third, basically tenet of his life, he said three things that are recorded, right? And his third one was Mekabel et kol adam besevid panim yafot, that you should receive every person with a pleasant face, with a nice greeting, with a beautiful smile. And when a person does that, they really break through all barriers that we put up. Most people have multiple layers of pain, stress, anxiety that they're constantly exuding out of them during the course of their day. We're talking to a group of mothers, grandmothers, spouses, and everybody has their own challenges, their own stresses. What am I putting for dinner on the table? I have to cook for Shabbat. Tomorrow's Thursday, right? Pesach is on the horizon just a few weeks later. Purim, I got to do mishloach manot. Am I making everybody starting to shiver a little bit? It's okay, right? Yeah, everyone's like, Rabbi, stop there, stop, right? But we all have our things. Maybe we're going through some issues that might be even a little bit more serious for us. We have an ill family relative. Someone's going through some shalom bayit problems. Their children are not doing so great in school the way they want to, and they have a meeting with the teacher or the principal. Really, everybody's got their own things. There's nobody that doesn't have something going on, and usually we're balls of anxiety and stress, and that's usually what our outer layer is. And so when a person comes and greets you and says hello with a smile, with enthusiasm, how are you? Tell me something about your day. That really breaks through those layers, and you really open up the person, and all of a sudden they start to feel a little bit better. They open up about what's going on. They feel like somebody is listening to them. Somebody can hear them. So I want to ask you a question. When you are doing your greetings in your partners, right? What makes a good greeting? What should you be thinking? What should you be doing to really greet somebody? Sounds so simple. Alexis? Okay, so we're asking a question about them. By the way, if I was really, really evil, I would have called, what I like to do a lot of times with my students is I have to, I would call on somebody and I would say, tell me what the other person told you, right? Right, to see if they are listening, right? Because most of the time, I'm sure everybody was trying to think of what's the thing that I'm excited about. And probably the time you were thinking about what I'm excited about, sometimes you're not listening to what the other person is excited about. So as a listening exercise, I would have called on somebody and said, who is your partner? Tell me what they're excited about for today to see if the person was listening. What were you saying, Alexis? Yeah, you can? All right. Well, you shouldn't have to share it if you don't want to. That's fine. Right? Okay. Okay, it's very good, right? So every one of us, so there's definitely thinking about the other person, and I think that goes with that listening, other things that we think about. What else makes a good greeting? How do you know if someone's really greeting you genuinely, Sarah? Huh? Smile, how you greet them, right? The seven panim yafot is there. What'd you say?
Have to look at you.
Eye contact, right? That's the first thing that people talk about, and that's the thing that we really work on with children in kindergarten, first grade, is eye contact. Naturally, people don't look each other in the eye. They don't make eye contact. When you do this with young kids, they feel a little awkward about it. They'll put their head down and they'll talk. We tell them eye contact, right? Whenever I talk to my children and they're looking away, either the TV could be distracting them, something else could be distracting them, eye contact. Constantly remind your children when you're talking to somebody, when you're greeting them, and any conversation you're having, you should be making eye contact. Eye contact really tells you, I'm looking at you, you're here, you're in front of me, right? If I'm giving a class and I see students' eyes are darting all over the place, right? I'm not feeling like I'm being heard. I'm not feeling like people are paying attention to me. Anybody else wanted to add something?
When you say the name, that's it.
Huh?
When you say the name,
What do you mean say the name?
instead of saying hi Linda.
Right. Oh, hi, Linda. Right. So it's calling the person by their name, acknowledging them, right? And who they are, because we're very attached. It's so interesting that you said that. I didn't even have that on my card, but just saying that person's name, it resonates with them. It's something else, a little bit more warm. And it also, people associate themselves and their identity with their name. So when you call that person by their name, it's very interesting. Grandma Lori, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. How was it meeting somebody who you never met before?
Very nice.
Huh? Yeah. What did you maybe do differently than somebody who didn't know the person they were greeting?
I said, hi, I'm Lori Peixoto.
So you introduced yourself.
Yeah, I always do.
Right.
And I find of later age, if I don't know somebody or forget, I go, excuse me, I know your face, but I don't know who you are.
Right. Right. And sometimes we feel awkward. We feel like a little uncomfortable to ask somebody, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. I forgot your name or something like that. But actually, when you do ask that, instead of sometimes like doing the hey type thing, right? So you actually say to the person, I'm sorry, I should have remembered, but I'm not so good with names. Do you mind? What's your name? But that actually shows a lot of care, because the person says, wow, that person took the time to find out my name. It means they really are. Because if the person just says hey and moves on, okay, then how much are they really invested in me over there? Did anybody pay their person a compliment without knowing it? Yes? Yeah? What'd you do? Yeah?
Well, this is part of what I had told her I'm excited for. What you said?
I acknowledged
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so excited that you get excited. Your daughter's coming to weekend.
Oh, that's very nice. Okay, there you go, right?
No, but then you said something nice about her.
Oh,
Don't
yes.
say it.
No, it's fine. She doesn't have to say it, but yeah.
Got that.
But I didn't make this as part of it. But sometimes people will naturally say, "Oh, I love your blouse. Oh, your hair looks nice. Oh, I love those sunglasses." Paying a nice compliment, giving someone a little extra praise that they weren't ready for, could really open up a tremendous world. Because most of us leave the house and we think, I don't know, I don't look so good. What's everyone else going to wear? Most of us are so self-conscious about ourselves that when someone else gives us something of praise, wow, all of a sudden you just broke through that self-consciousness, and the person could feel, sort of free and liberated to feel themselves and be respected. So don't be, when you greet people or you talk to people, don't be stingy on complimenting them, right? Don't be stingy on praise. Compliment doesn't cost anything, and it goes a very long way. So making eye contact, smiling, listening to people, paying them praise, all of these things break through. When you're about to meet somebody and have an encounter with them, right away their defenses are up. Immediately they feel their anxiety and their pain and whatever stresses are going on that's there. And this type of a greeting can just totally cause those things to melt away. And it really makes a tremendous difference. And that's why Shammai tells you, you have to be mekabel et kol ha'adam b'sever panim yafot, to really accept the person with a great countenance, with all of these different things that we've been talking about. Now, if anybody knows anything about Shammai himself, does anybody know what type of person Shammai himself was? Shammai was known to be a very tough individual, actually, right? There's that famous story where the person comes to Hillel and Shammai and says, teach me the Torah on one foot. So everybody knows the Hillel part where Hillel said to him, love your neighbor like you love yourself. But the story goes that he first went to Shammai, and what did Shammai do? He threw him out. He dismissed him. He said, I'll see you later, right? There's no such thing as the Torah on one foot. Now, get out of here, right? And then the person went to Hillel, his counterpart, and Hillel received him and told him, I'd like to suggest that perhaps Shammai over the course of his time, knowing that that was his natural personality, was not only talking to us, but was perhaps also speaking to himself, knowing that he was a person who was naturally a little bit reserved, maybe a little bit drawing that line in the sand. He was somebody who believed in a little bit of toughness. He constantly told himself, no, accept people with a good face, really take them in. And so if you're the type of person who is naturally a little introverted, right? Doesn't always greet everybody, maybe not so bubbly, right? The opposite of my sister, right? When my sister greets people, it's almost nauseating, if you ask me. I tell her not to smile so much, right? Yeah, so I had to bring her up in this class because it's her, that's like her thing. It is refreshing. For me, it's, so I'm saying, but I give her a hard time about it because I'm her older brother. But yeah, I will honestly tell you, there are times that I've been home at night feeling a little down. Let me give Rachel a call because I know that when she gets on the phone, I'm gonna get something great, right? And everybody has those types of people in their life that you know you can count on to give you that smile and to kind of boost your energy. Yeah. 100%. I'm going to get to that as well. Yeah, 100%. Mood is, well, we'll get to it now since you mentioned it. Mood is absolutely contagious, right? So you've ever been around people who are just negative, sour, bitter, speaking ill, you just, all of a sudden you feel just the strength, zapped right out of you. How many people read Malcolm Gladwell a lot? He talks about the idea, isn't it an interesting phenomenon about yawning? If somebody here in the crowd yawned immediately, right? Somebody else would yawn with you. All of a sudden, you feel a little tired, right? All of a sudden you slouch down a little bit in your chair. I feel a little bit tired. Someone makes a yawning gesture, a tired gesture, it passes around and all of a sudden you start to feel a little bit tired, right? So those moods and those gestures are contagious. What'd you say? By the way, just by saying the word, and he says that. By the way, he reads the chapter. I think it was in Outliers. I'm not sure if it was in Outliers, but he actually writes in the book when he's writing, he goes, yawning, thinking about yawning. Don't tell me you didn't just yawn, right? Like that's what happens because you just naturally, it's a weird phenomenon. Those types of emotions and feelings are very, very contagious and they pass from one person to the other. The more you spend your time around people who are upbeat, who are positive in nature, and that's really the key word of the day, I think, is positivity, who speak good about other people, who are praising other people, you just feel uplifted. You just feel better about yourself. You feel like, I want to spend time with those types of people. I feel energized by being around those types of people. The Gemara in Masechet Berachot records a very powerful statement on page 17a. It's about a rabbi. His name was Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai. And Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai was the leader of the Jewish people at the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. So you could just put yourself there. Destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. It's one of the worst times in Jewish history. The temple's destroyed. The people are under Roman rule. There's killing in the streets. It's a horrific time. You know what the rabbis say about Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai? He always greeted someone before they greeted him. If he saw someone in the street, he'd make a point to go over to greet them before they greeted him, right? And what an unbelievable statement about somebody who's the leader of the generation. You'd expect him to say, everyone's got to come greet me. I'm the leader. I'm the head rabbi. Everyone should come over and say hello to me. And that's not what he did. He sees someone in the street, he jumped to say hello to them. Why would he do that? Because I think he understood that this type of positivity, that type of greeting, the leading rabbi of the generation is coming out of his way to say hello to me, means I'm important, means at a difficult time, we're all one, we're all unified. And Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai, I believe, used that as a key to unlocking a difficult time and to opening up his people to building the next chapter in Jewish history. And the rabbis add in something very important. It says Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai would not only do this with Jewish people. It says, Va'afilu hagoy bashuk. Even a Gentile who was in the marketplace, he'd go out of his way to greet that person as well. How many people do we meet on our daily basis, whether it's the mailman, whether it's the bus driver, whether it's the grocery clerk, the person who's bagging, whatever it is, we run into tons of people, the barista who's making our coffee in the morning. How amazing would it be? Is hello, hi, how are you doing? Thank you so much. My coffee was delicious. Those types of little things, which you have to really think about them. They don't come naturally. They make a tremendous difference in other people's days. But as Gloria pointed out, it also makes a difference in your day. So you will benefit from this type of behavior as much as all the other people will benefit around you, because you'll be saying nice words to others. You can expect chesed is a boomerang. It's going to come back to you. People will start speaking to you in that type of way, but you'll also feel positive. You'll also feel upbeat. You'll also be looking at all of the good things that are happening around you and letting all those stresses and all those bad things melt away. Dr. David Sitt was in yesterday in Hillel. And by the way, I tried this tactic on my wife last night and it actually worked. My wife is really an anxious person. She's going on a business trip to Texas next week. And she's like, how am I going to go ahead and do this? And I told her, anxiety is visiting you. Yeah, you're having a little bit of anxiety now, but it's temporary. It's going to go away. And let's think about all of the positive things. They selected you as one person out of 4 in the entire hospital who's going to go to a place to build the next laboratory in their hospital. What an amazing thing. And all of a sudden, just shifting that language, shifting that perspective, instead of how am I going to get on the plane? How am I going to pack? How am I going to get on? What's going to happen with the kids? Don't worry, we'll handle all that stuff. She's going to do it. Everybody's able to do it. We all do it. But just getting her off of that anxiety kick and onto the positive kick and saying, of course, there's going to be a couple of stresses. Don't worry, we'll help you out. It's fine. It's temporary. It'll go away. But think about all the great things that you're going to accomplish there. All of a sudden change the mindset at the drop of a hat. That positivity, that greeting, that eye contact, that smile, and has the ability of really cracking through all of the things that make us feel negative during the course of our day. Questions, comments, thoughts, just to throw out until this point? Okay, very good. I want to bring you another thing from Pirke Abot, which is going to challenge this a little bit. So the language of Shammai's statement is, Heve mekabel et kol ha'adam, receive the entire person, besever panim yafot, with a nice face and good countenance. 2 chapters later, there's another rabbi, his name was Rabbi Ishmael, and he said something similar, but with a little twist. And I want to get your take on what you think the difference might be. He said, Heve mekabel et kol ha'adam besimha. Receive every single person with happiness. What do you think the difference is between receive everybody with a pleasant countenance, a face, a good face, versus receive everybody with happiness? Linda.
Sometimes happiness is not something that's like for the moment. Like maybe you're in, difficult situation and you don't need to be necessarily happy, but if you receive them with pleasantness, it's different. Like it could go anywhere.
It can go anywhere.
At any time.
Okay, very good. Any other takers? Yeah, Julie?
One is an emotion and one is an action.
And so therefore what? Meaning one,
Truly feel.
can you do one without the other?
Yes,
Yeah.
you can. You can fake being pleasant.
Okay.
But you have to truly feel happiness. So I think the point of that sentence is to feel it from the inside instead of just.
Right. So you're saying, so receiving everybody with happiness, we'd say, is a more challenging task and a higher level task than just receiving everybody with a smile and a good face, because everybody could put on a smile and a good face. Even though I'd argue that not everybody can do it, they could try to do it, but we're very good at seeing fakeness, right? People are very good at reading through that, but there are some people who could be really good at it. Yes, they could say hi and how you doing and this and that, and just for a moment, kind of put on a good show and then, let it go. And there's a difference between you saying receiving somebody with happiness means I'm genuinely excited to see that person, to converse with them. I don't want the conversation to end, as opposed to just exchanging pleasantries. Okay, that's a good one, honey.
I think that it's trying to tell you to be happy. Like by me seeing everyone and being happy, in turn, I'm going to be happy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a mind frame.
It's a frame of mind. It's a mindset that you're doing. I like that as well. I want to go back to Julie's point about faking it. Oh, Grace, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
I think one is putting the effort on yourself, being happy. I'm thinking about myself, and I think one is putting effort on the other person that you're greeting. So if somebody's coming up to me, I want to make them feel good, and the other one is making myself feel good.
So now you kind of shifted it a little bit different in that explanation. So to receive everybody in a positive way for them would actually be less selfish than receiving everybody in happiness. You're saying that's really for my own happiness. A different spin, an interesting way of looking at it. I like that idea. Julie, you wanted to respond,
I
or?
want to contradict the original one. What if it's the opposite? What if it's lo lishma ba lishma?
Good. That's what I was going to get to. Yeah. What did you mean by that? Yeah. I'm going to stop calling on Julie. What did you mean by lo lishma ba lishma? What did that mean?
So maybe sometimes you don't feel happiness. It's not coming from the inside. And you see someone, but you should fake it till you make it.
Right. I think that's the way I took it. Not to say that any of the other explanations aren't also valid, but I also noticed the order. The first chapter is the one that talks about receiving people with a nice face. The third chapter is the one that talks about receiving people with joy and happiness. I think one brings you to the other. And that means that even when you're not having a great day, even when things are challenging for you, even when naturally you have a scowl and a frown, getting yourself to put that good face on for other people will help others and will also help yourself. Sometimes faking it a little bit has the power of making those feelings all of a sudden shift even for yourself. And so if you fake it enough, eventually you'll start to actually feel it in a very genuine way. Not, yeah, fake it till you make it, right? And the same way, a lot of times the rabbis tell us to do mitzvot like that, right? I have a mitzvah, I have a tefillah, I have to pray. I don't really feel like praying right now. Praying's the last thing on my mind. I'm really not in that zone right now. I still got to go through the motions, because if you go through the motions, maybe you'll feel it then. And if not then, the next time you'll feel it. If you break from the chain, now it becomes that much harder the next time to pick it up, right? So sometimes you have to do things, even if it's not the way that you really want to do it, even if it's not on the highest level of idealism, in order to be able to go through those motions, and it'll have an impact on you on the inside. Because if you greet other people, it'll happen for you. And then maybe that person greets you the right way and actually does break through those layers of stress and anxiety that you're having and can make you feel good. I'm sure every one of us has had a conversation with someone that we didn't expect to have that conversation with them. You maybe just said hi to somebody and all of a sudden the conversation snowballed and they made you feel good. And you're like, wow, I'm really happy that I had that conversation with that person. I did not think that that person could make me feel that way.
He's saying all these things and all I'm thinking about is DJ, honestly. These are the comments that you didn't even think, you would just put hi. And
Yeah.
then it's like, no, how are you?
Yeah, how are you? Right? I don't think we get that enough. And I don't think people are, I don't think that we think people think that we're interested. That is a lot of thinking, right? In other words, we feel like that person doesn't want to talk to me, so I'm just going to get out of their way. And if every one of us thinks that person doesn't want to talk to me, we just walk around each other thinking nobody wants to talk to me. They don't want to talk to me. I don't want to talk to them. And what a cold society we end up walking into, instead of actually asking, how's your mom? How's your kids? What's going on? Oh my goodness, this happened to me. Remember I told you last week about sharing an experience? How many of us actually see someone that we haven't seen in a while and shares an experience with them? Yeah. Share an experience with somebody. You see something good happened to you today. You see someone in the supermarket that day. Oh, hey, how you doing? You know, something just happened to me. I want to tell you about it, right? Sounds weird, right? We probably think that, I don't know why that person was, but you'd be surprised. You share an experience with them. All of a sudden, the person says, yeah, something like that happened to me also, right? And they share with you. And now you're into sharing, right? I'm not saying you have to always do it all the time, but now you're into that a little bit, right? So I think sometimes you have to be that type of person. You have to be the type of person willing to take a risk to speak with somebody. You don't have to be creepy about it, but yeah, you can speak to them about things. I feel like we have these unwritten rules of conversation that just don't make for a very warm and inviting type of experience. What were we saying?
So yesterday, exactly this whole, let's just say I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, went into Ori's, I saw somebody who's in this room, and I want to say that she's an acquaintance, but I don't mean I'm there. We're just not the closest of friends, but I learned with her, I wrote with her, she's in this room. She said the nicest thing to me in the world. So when I see you, she said whatever she said, out of nowhere. I looked and I go, I really needed that today. I had the best day.
Right.
I had the best day.
Yeah.
She changed my entire mindset.
What a chesed.
I'm gonna call her out.
Stand up. Stand up.
Marilyn, stand up.
No.
Like, it was the nicest thing, and she had no clue what she was doing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
She had no idea. Sometimes you don't even know
Right.
the impact of one. What's it really going to mean?
Because we don't know what people are going through.
She said like a few lines that
Right.
just.
And what triggered it is because she took the time to go beyond just the, hey, how you doing? Shabbat shalom, right?
It was a wow.
And that's,
It was
yeah.
a wow moment. I walked out of there and I was like, okay. And
Yeah.
I had my homework.
So now you have to pay that forward.
Okay.
Now you have to pay that forward. You can't just let that end with you. That's you gotta pay that forward for 100%. But that's gonna bring me to my next point, and this is what I want to close with. And the reason that works is because most of us, like I said before, are really carrying around, more than any of the other struggles that we're going through, tremendous emotional and psychological baggage. I want to shift the topic a little, not the topic, the scenario a little bit. And I want to talk about the act of giving charity. the Rambam says something so powerful about the expression and the kindness of our words at the time that we give charity. The Rambam writes as follows. I'll read it in Hebrew and I'll translate it for you. The Rambam says the following: Kol hanoten tzedakah, anybody who gives charity to a poor person, besever panim ra'ot, with a bad face, and we've all done this. Hand them the dollar and leave me alone, right? We've all done it. I've done it in shul. Shul's the worst place, right? I'm telling you, it's really the worst place. They come around, they collect. I'm in the middle of praying. You're bothering me. It's my morning. I haven't had an hour to wake up. Here, take it. I'll see you later, right? The guy walks into the room. We roll our eyes. This guy again. We got to give him again. I'm telling you, it's every man has done it. If they tell you they haven't, they're lying to you. The greatest of people, I will admit to you, I've done it myself, right? Anybody who gives tzedakah with that type of a face, and his face is in the ground, says the Rambam, he can give 1,000 gold coins. He can give the most exorbitant amount of money. He lost his merit, and it goes for naught. It goes for naught, the Rambam says. In the end, the money you gave, it's worthless. You give him with a nice face, a good word. Can I get you a cup of coffee? And you give it to him with joy. And you mitonen imo al tzarato, speak to him about what the troubles that he's going through. Connect with him on an emotional level. Wow, you're collecting money for someone who's sick, for your relative, for this, for that. It must be so hard for you. Tell me what you're going through. How many times you have to visit the hospital? You have the person feels it's not just about the money. He's giving me the money. They're able to connect with me on an emotional level, right? And that is the bigger of the two problems that person is going through. Yes, they're having a financial struggle, but the financial struggle is actually weighing down on their mind and on their heart. That financial struggle is leading them to psychological struggles, to emotional struggles. There could be lack of peace in that person's home. The financial burden is probably putting a tremendous amount of stress on other things in that person's life. And if you're able to tap into that, that's worth all of the money in the world. The Rambam continues in the next halacha. He says, "Sha'al he'ani b'mimcha." If a poor person comes over to you and asks you for something, ve'en biyadecha klum liten lo, you don't have any money to give to him. You don't just say, "I don't have anything," and walk away. He says, speak to the person. Paisehu bidvarim. Speak to him in a nice way. Say, "I don't have anything to offer you, but tell me about what's going on. I'll be a good ear to listen to." Ve'asur lig'or be'ani. You can't yell at a poor person. Or to raise your voice against him. His heart is broken as an individual. That Rambam is telling us more important than the financial stress that this person is going through, it's the emotional and psychological stress. And if you can help him with that, that's the greatest charity that you could give to them. Of course, in the end of the day, sometimes they do need the money in the end of the day. Not every good word can write a check for somebody. Of course, they need that money. No one's saying not to give them the money, but it has to come with something. That emotional piece of it is so critical, maybe even more than the actual money that you're providing for that person. And so the Rambam is telling us that this mekabel besever panim yafot is a charity in and of itself. Even if you're not giving him the money, you're doing a tremendous chesed for that person. And I think that that's something that we have to really bring ourselves into. And I want to leave you with one tactic that could be brought out from a very unique one word that Shammai said that I think will change our whole perspective. Because sometimes we see somebody, and let's be honest with us, we don't really like that person so much. I'm going to see this person again. They do this, they do that. I don't really like that person, right? So sometimes it's hard to receive somebody who's not your best friend, who's not your family member, who's somebody that might be a little bit annoying to you every so often. I know it's hard to imagine there's people like that, but yeah, we don't always meet everybody. We're not so enthusiastic all the time about meeting about it. So we could fake it until we make it, but maybe there's a tool that we can use to potentially change our mindset. And it comes with one letter in the word that Shammai used. He said, and I purposely didn't emphasize it just yet because I wanted to save it for now. He says, Heve mekabel et kol ha'adam. Receive the kol ha'adam. What does kol ha'adam mean? The whole person with that good feeling, right? The simple meaning is accept every person with that. But there's also accept the whole person. In other words, what should you tell yourself in your mind? I know this person is not my most favorite person in the world, but you know what? They probably do so many good things. You have to think about what that person is as a whole. They're also a mother. They might be a grandmother. They're a spouse. They're a loving caregiver. They're somebody who does a tremendous amount of chesed. Look at the whole person. Look at the whole individual. So they annoy you a little bit here and there, but what do they do as a whole? And whenever we look at a whole person, all of a sudden our perspective of them changes. We could pinpoint so many more positive things about that person than the one or two things that tend to annoy us about them. So if you're looking for a tool that you can keep in your bag, how do I go about bringing myself that enthusiasm and joy and seeing every single person? It's looking at that whole person, seeing them for who they are, understanding that just like I might annoy some people sometimes, I'm also a whole person who has a lot. Maybe that person was having a bad day. Maybe something was going wrong the first time I met them. They didn't make a good first impression, but they're a whole person. They're a whole world in and of themselves. When you look at the whole person and you understand that they're Tselem Elohim, and God wants us to greet them, tap into that godly piece of them, right? And we do this for Gentiles and Jews alike. All of a sudden, our entire mindset can really, really change, and we can invoke these concepts in a much more, positive way. So, Leilun Ishma, DJ, I think we're looking about positivity, but positivity in the sense of how we greet people, how we bring them into our lives, how we share things with them, how we interact with them, complimenting them, praising them, doing these things consistently. And it's hard work, by the way. You have to train yourself to do it. It doesn't come naturally. But the more you do it, the more secondhand it becomes to us. And the more we're able to break through those layers and really brighten up others' days. And when, as much as we do that for others, it comes back to us tenfold. The rabbi is saying, Kol ha-mosif, the more you do for others, yosifulo, God will do for us as well. Sarah, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I think that I once learned that I thought it was interesting to share, that the most natural instinct that we have is we judge others based on our traits. So like when we look at someone, I might say, oh, she doesn't do this good because I do it great. So really what they're doing is you're judging their weakest character traits
Against your best.
So
Why do you think we do that?
I don't know why we do
Build
that.
It's obvious why we do that, because we want to think good about ourselves, right? So if we take our most positive quality and put it up against someone else's, makes us look good. We prop ourselves up.
So the next natural thing, the next thing that you should force your body to do is always be like, where's her strength? And then, like she beats me in that category. Like,
Right.
To always even the level of the playing ground, to not make yourself better
Yeah.
than anyone else ever.
That allows you, that connects to another Pirke Avot line of Ezehu Hacham, who's someone who's wise. Halomed mikol adam, someone who can learn from everybody. So if you know that person has something great that they're great at, that you could use work in, all of a sudden, I can learn from that person. And the minute you can learn from that person, all of a sudden now I can respect that person. I can see them in a higher level, 100%. And these ideas, they're hard to implement, but they seem small and like self-evident, but they really become a major part of who we are, how people view us. And if we want people to view us well, we have to view them well. And then that reciprocity goes about, and we'll see a lot more joy and happiness and simcha in our lives always. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, amen ve'amen.
One
Yes,
question,
go
and
ahead.
also a handout to everybody. I've heard it before, but I don't know where, and I just want to know if it's a true statement. It says that when you give tzedakah, actual money, you get 6 merits, but when you give somebody like your heart, your advice, your time, there's like 11 merits. Is that? I read it somewhere. I don't know. I read it somewhere. I just wanted to know if that was a legitimate.
I'm not sure about the counting as far as the merits go. There's different, here, let's take a look.
One of them.
I never heard the counting thing, like the numbers.
Yeah, because then okay. I just was curious.
I'll have to take a look at it. I'll have to take a look at it and see. Definitely the emotional component, as we've seen, is a major emphasis of that as well. Yeah, exactly.
Also,